sometimes I hear things said in the political sphere that are said in a mocking or sarcastic tone. And that might be in Parliament. Paul Keating springs to mind. But he managed to do it in a hilarious way. I didn't mind the way he did it. 17.5% interest rates. You find that funny, Charlie? You find that funny? No, I don't. But not only in Parliament, but just in ordinary political chat. You see it, you hear it. It's hard to see chat. You have to be a lip reader. You hear it online. You hear it out and about. And it reminds me to be careful to not do that, because often it doesn't come off. I think it came off when Paul Keating did it. You like that 17.5% interest rates, did you, Charlie? Did you like that? It's not a laughing matter. Sorry. Anyhow, what got me thinking about that? Oh, I was listening to an episode on the BBC World Service only an hour ago about batteries, storing energy. That's what batteries are all about, storing energy. And these batteries that were being described to me, they were a new type of battery, rather than being based on chemical reactions, as occurs in, say, my car battery, acids and all that sort of stuff, however that works, it was battery. It wasn't. These weren't batteries, or aren't batteries, storing energy via methods chemistry, but via methods physics, which I found interesting. And I said, all right, what's this all about then? And turns out, I'll get back to the mocking business afterwards, but that's what prompted me to think that. It turns out, look, here's what happens. Let's say you have a place like here in Australia where the sun shines a lot, but only during the daytime, and then people say, but sometimes I like to read my book at night, so it's all very well, to store, renewable energy. It's all very well, isn't it? If you live in a country that's got plenty of sunshine, what about Iceland during the winter? Well, I say, that's a good point, And I say, well, wind, and they say, yes, but sometimes it's not windy, is it? You idiot. Mocking tone, you idiot, renewable energy. You can burn coal all year round. Oh, yeah. I tended to think, all right, that was worthy, I was mock-worthy there. But I was listening to this thing on the BBC World Service where, for example, if you are in Iceland during the winter, what you can do is, if the wind's blowing on a given day, use what energy you need, and then store the rest for the next day in case the next day is not windy, via methods physics. Well, even the wind turbines, that's a physics method. Well, see, that's not storing electricity, that's just collecting it, isn't it? All right. So these are physics batteries, where the wind turbine, the windmills, they run turbines that produce electricity. Okay. And then all the houses in Reykjavik, is it? I don't know how you say it. Would use whatever electricity they need. But there might be some excess electricity. So what do you do with that? Well, you store it. That's all. And that sees off that argument before, doesn't it? Where people mocked me for saying that you could have renewable energy in Iceland. They mocked me. They did. They actually didn't. I'm making that up. But for the purpose of this episode, that doesn't matter if I make up stuff like that, because there are people mocking other people. So I'll stand in for them. All right. Now, I'll just let that go by. Now, how do they store this electricity? Well, what they do, in some countries, they use that excess electricity to pump water up high into a dam, and then use that water, and then let that water go later, when it's not windy, and that water can run turbines on a non-windy day, which then produces electricity on non-windy days. But then, my mocking friend might say, haha, well, you're going to do that in Iceland, are you? Well, you're going to pump that water up there, and it'll freeze up there, won't it? It'll all be ice. Idiot. The mocking tone, see, you've got to be careful. And I would have been chastened by that guy, because I wouldn't have had an answer for that. But I heard an answer on the BBC World Service this morning, and it goes like this: we don't pump water back up high to then be released to run turbines. We build towers, 20-metre high towers, somewhere out of town. And the excess energy that we get on windy days, these towers have got 25-ton granite blocks in them, or whatever, And what we do is, when it's windy, we use what electricity we need in Reykjavik. Come from the land of the ice and snow. And then what we do with the excess, we just we have a little engine over there, and the excess electricity runs those engines, and slowly the granite blocks go up the tower on the inside. So you've got all these granite blocks being pumped up, and then when you move granite blocks from ground level up high, they gain energy, because it's called potential energy. Because once you get them up really high, you can let them go, and that energy with which they come down again, fall, if you like, you can convert that into electricity. So it's called potential energy, because what you're doing is you're lifting granite blocks up, and once a granite block is suspended high somewhere, it's got energy. It's got potential energy, because it's got the potential to be dropped. And when it drops, you can use the force with which that thing is dropping. You're using gravity as an energy source. So there you go. And the amount of energy, I actually know the formula. I heard it on the radio, the formula, but it did remind me of this. I did remember this formula once they told me. I didn't remember before they told me. The energy is equal to the mass of the granite block, which is 25 tons, so to speak, times the force of, not the force of gravity, but the gravitational field strength, times however high you can get it, mgh. All right then. So my friend who mocked me, he didn't really, I made that up. My friend who mocked me got away with it, because I wasn't able to call him out on the mock. But I am now, but I've lost his phone number, because he doesn't exist. But the point is, he shouldn't have mocked in the first place. just in case he was wrong. And people do that in the political sphere. If they don't know a counter-argument to what they're saying, and they think what they're saying is right, they'll use, well, often people will use a mocking tone because they don't know the counter-argument to whatever they're saying, and neither does the person they're speaking with. So someone's talking to me, and they say, well, I've got an example of that. There were a couple of blokes called the Hodge twins who were talking to me out of my phone on a YouTube clip, and they were mocking an idea, and I couldn't see any flaw with what they were saying at the time, so I had to accept the mock. And what they were saying, these Hodge twins, it was early in the piece, early on in the coronavirus story. So back when coronavirus started, it appeared to me and to the Hodge twins that you've got two choices. You can try and eliminate the virus, either in your whole country or even in one state. Pick in the United States, you might pick somewhere like Alaska. You can try, or Hawaii, or even Florida. A little bit harder to cordon off Florida, but you could do it. We did it in Victoria, and we've got a long border too. Now, and Florida, I picked that because it's got a bit of a panhandle and all that sort of stuff. It's a bit on the edge, you could section that off. There's a few other places you could section off too. In America, California might be hard, New York might be hard, but Anyway, what was the mocking thing? I assumed, you got two choices, and you can either try and contain the virus and destroy your economy, or you can save your economy and let the virus rip. It seemed like a sensible dichotomy, as they call it, an either-or situation. Anyway, the Hodge twins also had this idea, and they poked fun at anyone who was thinking of not doing what they thought should happen. Now, what they were saying is, that mocking tone, I can't do a mocking tone like the Hodge twins can do a mocking tone. What they do is they start a video of like this, and they go, give all these looks, and then they say something like, "You crazy as hell," because they're African American conservatives in America. You crazy as hell, because you just, you believe something I don't believe in. You're crazy as hell, He said, look, we've got two choices. We're going to either have coronavirus and no economy, or we can have economy and coronavirus. We can't afford to have no coronavirus. And if you think that's not true, you're crazy as hell. They do that sort of thing. Anyway, they do that whole mocking shtick. Now, I know why they do it, because it's funny. And it gets them millions of hits, and even I found them funny. So I haven't got a problem with that. And look, it's a comedy show as well, so that's fair. I've got no problem with that. But the point is, at the time, they were putting that argument forward as self-evidently logical. Now, as it transpires, and that was reasonable for them to think that it was a dichotomy back then. You either save your economy, or, you either save your economy and let the virus rip, or vice versa. But now it's become clear, especially, given that Australia has tested an alternative truth, It seems clear nowadays, now that we've had a year to look at it, and there's no way the Hodge twins could have known this in advance, and there's no way I could have known this in advance either. That's not the point. The point is not to mock, just in case a third scenario arises. And a third scenario has arises because it seems clear from the experiment that is Australia and New Zealand that if you eradicate the virus, you save the economy. And that wasn't one of the two options that were being considered by the Hodge twins. This is a third option. They thought there were only two, either this or that, but this is a third option. So there was one option that the Hodge twins put up, and I did in my head. Let the virus rip and save the economy. That's one option. And another option the Hodge twins put up was eradicate the virus and kill your economy, stone dead, which is, they speak in black and white terms. They're American. That's okay. That's the way they do things. And they're on Twitter and all those sorts of things. So, of course, everything's black and white there. Okay, so they're the two options. But Australia has proved that a third option is out and about. And that is, and it's nothing like those other two, here's the third option. Eradicate the virus in order to save the economy. And then I sort of, I've got to ring the Hodge twins now, because 6 months ago they were laughing and making funny facial gestures and all that sort of stuff as they considered two options as to which one of them is true. And there was a third option they didn't even know about, and that's why they probably made a mistake in taking on a mocking tone. But at the time I couldn't sort of criticize them for being mocking, because I didn't know there was a third option. But maybe you should, maybe we all should. Well, you can do whatever you want. In fact, I don't mind some people mocking people who disagree with them, because they can do it in a very funny way. I can't, but these people can. And you know what? I don't mind the Hodge twins, the way they do that, because they are funny. It's funny, even if they're wrong, they're funny. Yeah, and Paul Keating's another one. Even if he's right, he's funny. Ooh, you think 17.5% interest rates are right? Do you, Charlie? Do you? You think that's funny? Funny guy? No, I don't, sorry.